Hello again, everyone. It's your favorite noob and mine, the Starcraft 2 noob. And I am here once again to show you some more videos and give you a little incursion into the Protoss again. This time we've got a Protoss versus Terran, which are always fun, so we'll get started. Zooming ahead a bit of the general, probes, SCVs, more probes, more SCVs. So I get my pylon up right near my base to kind of get my gateway nice and close and send my probe out a scouting. Now, only problem is I actually go the exact wrong direction, which is very bad when you're playing against Terran because they like to set up the block. And once they block, you can't get in. So my probe goes to every other spawn point except the right one, and the Terran player is actually able to get up his block in time to stop me from being able to scout. Well, of course, he luckily just hits the right one right off the bat, like so. So he sees my pylon up front, which is my usual, oh look, there's an army trying to invade my base, and sees my one gateway, and just kind of messes around, whereas my probe gets stuck right there and can't do anything. So his marine comes over and he tries to snipe it away, but I, of course, do my classic, I'm going to stick a pylon behind the minerals in your expansion, and am left to be on my way. Now, he has his block up, and he's got another barracks up, so we can expect some heavy marines, maybe some marauders. For now, he doesn't really know what I'm doing. He sees cybernetic score, and that's such a classic move that, I mean, what, so I'm going with warp gates? Okay, that's new. I made one mistake here and did not put up my assimilator fast enough, and so I'm a little behind on getting my warp gate. And I'm also a little too focused on going pylon crazy like usual and setting up one here, one there, and one right there for good measure. And that's of course all just for if maybe he goes for an airstrike since we're so close to each other or anything like that. I want a bit of forewarning. And so get my lonely stalker up and have my zealots guard the main. As you can see, going for a rather quick expanse. I mean, for most noobs anyway, usually, this is actually very late, and going ahead and getting up 3 gateways because of my massive amounts of income here. Let's see here. We've got about equal. I have more harvesters, but of course he has mules, so it's kind of take away, give him that economic bonus. Units-wise, he has 6 marines versus 1 stalker and 3 zealots, so they're probably actually about equal. I may be a bit ahead right now. Production-wise, we have stim packs coming up. Yeah, Protoss do not like stim packs. They usually end up being a pain. But oh, looky here, we have factories coming up as well. We also have combat shields, so the Terran player is probably going to go siege tanks, which are very good at wrecking Protoss infantry. And as we can see, he's got a bunker, a few marines, but I could probably push through this with my starting force, but I still think it's a little early. Kind of block off my base with a forge here, and as you can see, I've got 6 gateways up, or now warp gates, I should say, and plenty of income, so I'm just going to start warping in units. And of course, I make 1 unit up top for a little scout and get obliterated by that siege tank. So I know there's siege tanks in play. So what I decide to do is, of course, always get my ground level 1, which is my personal favorite, and also Stargates. Now, I could have gone Immortals in the robotics bay here, but also felt maybe a little harassment would have been nicer. There's one SCV just kind of sitting there. And I also decide to do a little bit of harassing again with this Zealot force. Just 6 of them right here. He's starting to build a bunker. I don't think I see it, and I don't think he sees me. Nope, he doesn't, but he goes to make his expand. And, oh, look, there's a bunch of Zealots just kind of chilling. Can't really do anything, but he gets his force down, loads up, and obviously I'm not paying attention, or else I would have seen that a long time ago. I get my Void Rays starting out, and I get some extra Zealots, and I actually win the fight. Well, to an extent. I wipe out that starting bunker and just kind of throw some units away. But I get those Zealots right there, and I warp in some Stalkers, and I actually decide, let's try it one more time. It worked so well the first time. His bunker's actually empty, so no extra damage there. We managed to take out the supply depot, which now his block is no longer existent, and he wipes out my pylon. So if we go to units lost here, I've lost quite a few more and I've lost resources. So he's actually on top in that regard. However, I know he has siege tanks now, and I've also opened up the block. So while it doesn't show, it is, and I've also delayed his expansion, which means his economy is now much farther down. Not that he needs it with 1,600 minerals just floating, but I do have. It did, so it actually, in my opinion, evened out. Now he moves his. I'm going to actually rewind this here, slow this down, and rewind this just a bit. So I move my void rays out to go. I've got 4 of them now. Yeah, 4 of them. And let's go a little faster here. I move my void rays out to do some worker harass. And as I'm doing that, I float over to the Zelnaga Tower to kind of go down. And I just catch, you have to watch here real closely, and boom, I catch that siege tank. Now, lonely siege tanks don't just come rolling, so, oh, it's his attacking force. I bring my void rays in, which delays the siege tanks, and actually manage to wipe out his entire siege tank before they even get a shot off. So my void rays, however, do take a hit from that marine base, but I'm able to wipe out his marauders, which are a much bigger threat in my opinion, and also do get to snipe off a few of his marines too. So I chase after him, of course, building up some reinforcements, and also I go ahead and get into the Immortal Robotics Bay because I also have seen this missile turret, and would prefer not to watch my Void Rays just get shot to oblivion. So I've got an engagement here, Zealots clogging up the line, getting slowed by those concussive shells, but he's ignoring my Stalkers, which are the true dangerous force here. So we managed to blow up his bunkers, take out his other siege tank, and actually managed to wipe out most of his forces. You know, causing him to have to back up a bit and rebuild and go on the defensive. There's a siege tank there who's decided that it's fun to hit stalkers. So I get my stalkers out of the way and just decide to do some, you know, economic harassment, forcing him back. He actually lifts off his command center again. So I've actually forced him quite a bit of ways back with in regards to economy. So his income should be pretty low right now. I, as you can see, have some stalkers built up. I've got immortals coming out very soon. I'll go ahead and get those chrono boosted out. And I just decide I'll hold up for now, build some stalkers. Siege tanks suck, but he's going to have to rebuild a lot of his forces. Like right now, I could probably have just rushed in with the stalkers, but I didn't know how quickly he was rushing out. And I hadn't seen too large of an army, so I assumed he's probably got some more. He can probably rebuild really quickly. And marauders and stalkers don't get along too well. As you can see here, 28 SCVs versus 41 probes. In the units lost tab, as you can see, we're equal in amount, but his amount of resources, however, shows a different story. However, we've caught up a bit in that regard, and now my force is quite large. I go ahead and warp in some zealots to clog up the ground and just fill up, you know, see if those marauders and marines will target them instead of my SCVs, or SCVs, okay, stalkers. And as we can see here, this immortal backup, and this is actually a pretty sizable force. And I'd like to say I did something cool here and like brought the probes along, but I accidentally just misclicked them and brought them into the group by accident, and it already hotkeyed them. Oh look, here's 2 probes. There is actually a benefit to this though. Since probes can build pylons, and we're doing warp gates here. Oh, and there's a lonely void ray just kind of going, hey look, why don't you use me? I guess not. The probes can actually build pylons along the way, so you don't have to reinforce from back in your base. But we've got an engagement here, and the stalkers are attacking the barracks. Get that barracks down, so we can't reinforce himself. The zealots doing their job, just kind of acting as fodder. Actually, a probe almost got destroyed, but it actually lives, and actually ends up being the probe that saves the day, as it jumps into the back here and builds up a pylon. So you can see the Immortal's hardened shield doing its job, preventing it from being blown up, and then there's that pylon coming up. Take out the siege tank, take out the bunker. He doesn't quite have enough forces right now, nor does he have the speed to get them out, and right now, as you can see here, I'm soon going to be reinforcing myself with a massive, at least 6 units per. So, as you can see, Stalker's warping in, and there's the GG. And there you have it. And so my 6 warp gates with some stargates and a robotics facility I managed to get through these siege tanks, and this is a good video for examples on counters, how to switch your strategy. Don't just rush in with the same strategy over and over again. He saw his heavy infantry, so he kept building siege tanks, marauders, but he also saw void rays, and while marines can take on void rays, they really can't do it by themselves. He does have a Stargate, a starport up here, so I'm guessing he was going with the reactor, so I'm guessing he's going to go for Vikings or medevacs. But of course, I have immortals, and while they can't target air units, they're also great against siege tanks, great against anything else Terran like to throw out, like Thors or battle cruisers. So this game was mostly about being able to counter and timing, when to push and when not to push. So, alrighty, this is the Starcraft 2 noob. Hopefully you've seen some interesting things in this video, some things you'd like to try out. So, this is Sylphanamus, the Starcraft 2 noob, and I'm signing out.